So the year is 2025, and to get yourself a decent pair of running shoes, you're now looking to be spending well over 100 quid. Well, I, quite frankly, only have this 10 quid. So in today's video, I'm going to be going on the app Vinted, where people sell their running shoes online, and I'm going to see if I can find myself an actual decent pair of running shoes on Vinted. So if you guys don't know what Vinted is, it is basically an app where people can sell second-hand items such as running shoes. Now this may sound great, but the problem with Vinted is that people try and sell you shoes which have been thoroughly used and basically are so worn that you can no longer get a good use out of them. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you on how to get past all the crap items and find an actual good pair of running shoes on Vinted for just 10 quid. So if you do enjoy saving yourself a lot of money, please do consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. And with that being said, let's get into the video. Get into showing you the filters which I use to find running shoes on Vinted. I'm going to show you a few examples of some of the crap items, and we're starting off for a pair of Brook shoes here. And the key tip for me, the first thing I'll tell you now, is make sure you look at every single photo, because to start with, it doesn't look too bad from this angle, but if you scroll along, you then get to this bit. Literally half a chunk of foam in the shoe, it's just not there. So yeah, make sure you look at every photo, because I would not want to buy a shoe, get it in the post and it arrives to see whatever that is. Would pay money to buy this shoe. Like, come on, look at this. There's just chunks of shoe missing here. In fact, this shoe is so awful. They should be paying us to get this shoe out of their possession, not us paying money to buy this shoe. The design is just pieces of the shoe peeling away everywhere. This is just such an awful shoe, and you're getting no value for this shoe whatsoever. You won't quite believe this, but this shoe is being sold for 30 quid. And look at the foam here. There's just chunks of the foam missing. And quite frankly, there's so many shoes like this on Vinted. And if you put any money whatsoever to this shoe, you're pretty much getting scammed. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put in some filters, and I'm going to show you guys how to find the best possible value for money deals on Vinted. I'm going to head over to the search bar, and what we're going to do, quite simply, we're going to type in running shoes. And then once we've done that, we're going to do a few simple steps. We're going to put in the size of the shoe, put in your shoe size. For me, I am a 7.5. Press on show results. And then we're going to go over to conditions. This is a pretty crucial step, because what you're going to do is you're going to select on very good. Because if you have good or satisfactory selected, then that is where you get some of the crap items. So then once we've done that, we're going to press show results. And then we're going to go over to the price and put in a maximum of 10 quid. Because we do not want to be getting shoes costing 100 quid, because quite simply, that is out of our budget range. Put all the filters in, quite simply, it is time to start scrolling. And then when you eventually find a shoe which you think you quite like the look of, then that is when you select the shoe. Shoe which you think looks relatively good. Then click on the item, and then the first thing I advise you do is to have a little check at the photos to see if there's any scratches or marks which might be on the shoe, which might drop down the value of its money. And once you've carefully looked at every single photo there is, if you don't see anything which you think makes this shoe crap, then it's time to look at the description of this item. And for me, there's two things wrong with the description here. Firstly, in the title, it only says the brand of the shoe. I want to know what the particular product name for this ASIC shoe is, so then I can get to see what the retail price of this trainer was. And also the description, there is a lack of a description, to be honest with you. It says good condition, and that's it. It doesn't say how many miles has been worn in this trainer or how long he's had the trainer for. So the good thing with Vinted though is you can press ask a seller, and you can quite simply ask questions. And the biggest question which I always ask a seller is, how many miles have they done in this shoe? Because then that can give you a good indication for the value of money for the shoe. So once you've asked your question, press send, and then wait for a response. And in the meantime, you can favorite the shoe and come back to it later, and in the meantime you can scroll to see if there's any other alternatives which you want. When looking at an item is that if you look at the number of favorites for the item, the higher there is, the more amount of favorites there are on this item, it indicates that you have a better value for money. So I would say anything over 5 likes indicates this is quite a popular item, and it is pretty much a good item for value for money. A bit of my price range here for what I was looking for, but I found an Adidas Adizero Boston 10, which I know is a great shoe for a track effort. So as you can see from the pictures, I'm pretty happy with how the shoe looks. It looks pretty brand new and doesn't look like many miles has been ran in this shoe. So I went into the messaging services and I asked this fella how much mileage he had done in the shoe. Basically, after the conversation, he doesn't really know, but based on the pictures, I'm giving this a chance, and he came back offering me a price of 18 quid. Vinted is that you can try and get yourself a better price, so I will be willing to pay 15 quid. So we're going to offer that and see what he comes back and says. Conversation with this fellow, we tried to sort out a price and eventually he's offered 17 quid. And I know this may be a bit higher than the target price of 10 quid which I set out, but you've got to see it this way: 17 quid, it saves a lot more money than the retail price for the Boston 10, which is 130 quid. So you've got to see it this way: I am still saving well over 100 quid. And maybe the moral of this is that maybe spending a tiny fraction a bit more money than 10 quid, well, that could be what you have to do. But what I'm going to do now is going to go straight up and press buy now on this shoe. And there we go, purchase successful. The Boston 10s, they are mine, and we will be back when the shoe has arrived.
2,000 years later.
Alright guys, so it's been a few days now and I am happy to announce the shoes have arrived. The first thing which I noticed about the shoe is that it's actually the Boston 9 version and not the Boston 10 version which was said on the Vinted title. However, having said that, overall I'm quite happy with the quality of this shoe. So another version of the Adidas shoe which I own is the Adizero Pro, which is very similar to the Boston 9 in multiple ways. Firstly, both of these shoes are outdated versions of the shoes, and both shoes have newer models, and this means that they would be released at a very similar time, and again would have very similar technologies in the shoe, with having similar type of foams. Now, having said this, the shoe contains the light strike foam, so does the Boston 9, and also both shoes have very similar purposes, being I've used this on the track and I've used this for tempo effort runs. So having said that, this will mean getting to wear the Boston 9, I'll be able to compare the shoe to the Adizero Pro and see how good it can hold on a tempo effort and on the track, because that is the type of purpose which the Boston 9 is for. It's for putting a little bit of speed into the shoe. So initial reactions to the shoe, overall I'm very happy with what I've got here. From initially looking at the shoe, it looks like it is in very good quality. The upper is holding strong, and the foam itself, it doesn't look too worn down, and to be fair, this does look as close as you can get to being brand new from a second-hand shoe. Of course, you've got a little bit of wear on the bottom of this shoe, but overall I'm really happy with how the Boston 9 is looking. And for 17 quid, this would, if I could put this into my shoe rotation, I could use this shoe on the track for tempo runs. And if I got a shoe first hand, I could be spending well over 100 quid. So if I do like this shoe, then I could be saving at least 100 quid because this only cost 17 quid. So naturally, the next thing to do, as it is past the first impression test, is to see if in practice this shoe actually feels good. And that means we will be going on a run wearing the Boston 9s. Alright guys, so for today's run in the Boston 9s, what we're going to do 1 kilometer at a warm-up pace before going into 1 kilometer or so at a steady pace. This is a bit of a tempo pace to get a bit of speed into the shoe because that is the design purpose for the shoe. And then after that, we're going to do about 200 meters of strides. We're going to do a few of those to see what it is like getting a bit of speed in the Boston 9 to see how they react when putting a bit of speed into the shoe. Alright guys, so we have the Boston 9s on now. And now we're going to do a nice 1 kilometer warm up just to get the legs ready, to get the blood pumping through those muscles, to be able to put a bit of speed into the shoes today. So we've just done the 1 kilometer warm up, so now we're going to move just more of a steady to a tempo effort for about 5 minutes, about a kilometer or so, just to see how the shoe reacts to putting a bit of speed into them. So the steady the tempo pit was done. We did 3:54 average pace, which I'm quite happy with, and you can definitely see that the Boston 9s, they do have a good bit of foam in the midsole and it is still working very well. I could feel the bounce. Overall for 17 quid, this is promising signs, but now we're going to move on to do some strides at quite a fast pace. Alright guys, so we are back from the run now, so let's have a little review of the Boston 9s. I'm going to say it now, for 17 quid, this is a great find, because this shoe, I can now use it in my workouts. I can use them for tempo workouts, I can use them for parkrun efforts, I can use them on the track, and this would roughly be the alternative to, say, a shoe which could cost way into 100 quid. So this shoe, immediately, if I put it into my shoe rotation, is saving me over 100 quid. Now for the Boston 9 exactly, this shoe I think is still in prime condition. I don't think many kilometers have been put into this shoe, so I think for value for money this is excellent, because when I put this shoe on, you can feel in the foam, the light strike foam in the midsole, you can still feel the foam in there. It is super bouncy and it propels me forwards. It's nice and snappy, and this is exactly what I want for its purpose. So overall, for value for money, this shoe is still in prime condition. I mean, just looking at it, you can see that the shoe, it doesn't look that worn out, and it doesn't look like many miles have been put into the shoe. So for 17 quid, I feel this is a great find. So the Boston 9, it is a nice lightweight shoe, it's nice and snappy, and this will 100% be put into my shoe rotation. So yeah, I wish you all the best of luck with your search on Vinted, so hopefully you can find a shoe like me. And yeah, if you did find this video helpful or you enjoyed the video, please do consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. And I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.